about some good music today. Are you ready? Are you ready for this music? With Music History Moment, I'm Gary Stuckey, and today we're going to talk about the late, great Tom Petty. Thomas Earl Petty was born October 20th, 1950 in Gainesville, Florida, a southern boy just like me. Uh, Grew up listening to another southern gentleman named Elvis Presley, who he idolized and got to meet when he was around 11 years old because his uncle worked on the set of Follow That Dream and Elvis was there. So Tom got to meet his hero. How cool was that? Kind of like I want to do with Steve Perry one day, huh? But Tom, big fan of the Beatles also, and he got to meet George Harrison and work with him later, of course. Tom was really big in Gainesville, Florida, and met up with Benmont Tench and Mike Campbell. They formed a band called Mudcrutch. Have you heard of that band? Go buy their CDs. But anyway, Mudcrutch, it didn't really take off, so they formed another band with those two guys and called the Heartbreakers. And started off with a song called American Girl and Breakdown. They really took off back in the late 70s, and I heard them for the first time. I heard a song called Refugee, and I have never been the same. I was a big fan of that song. And of course, the Heartbreakers had a lot of hits throughout the 80s and 90s. Tom had a solo album released in '89. It's called Full Moon Fever, and I bought the tape when I was a teenager. I wore it out. Awesome, awesome. I recommend. Uh, if you don't get anything else by Tom, get that album. That's one of the best. And another awesome album by him, Wildflowers, his second solo album, one of my favorites. But Tom, he was influenced, by the Beatles and Elvis, but in his vocals you could hear that Roger McGuinn of the Byrds, right? You could hear that sound, and of course the Rickenbacker guitar that the Byrds played. You could hear that when Tom played it all the time, and that sound, you could tell that he loved the Byrds. And Bob Dylan, you can hear that same style. And Bob, of course, joined up with Tom years later in the Traveling Wilburys with George Harrison and Jeff Lynne and Roy Orbison, right? Go check out all those albums. Like I've always said, if you want to get into the minds of these guys and really know what they're all about, go listen to their influences. Go listen to the Byrds, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, Elvis, people like that. And Tom's vocals, that southern twang, but it was really raw, and lyrically the songs were down to earth, and you could relate to them so much, especially being from the South. I could relate to what he was talking about, and just simple life, but made it interesting in the way he would sing about it, and of course, like I said, his vocal style was just, you know, unbeatable. I mean, he was different than most. He wasn't trying to be the best singer ever, but his vocals just stand out to me. And Tom's music will live on forever. And unfortunately, Tom, in late 2017, they were finishing up their tour in Los Angeles, and Tom had hip problems, just like Steve Perry. Um, and he really wanted to go on tour. He knew that he had some issues, but he, went ahead. I guess that's the difference is, in Steve Perry's situation, he didn't want to have the surgery. He didn't want to go on tour because he knew, the precautions he should take for that, which is a wise thing. But I think Tom really wanted to please his fans, and he was really excited about it, and he decided to go on tour with a hurt hip, but he had to take medication for that hip, and taking the meds, and then he was taking some different kind of medications for depression and things like that, and you can't mix a certain amount. Uh, so unfortunately, that's what happened. He he mixed those medications together, maybe a little too much, without knowing and caused cardiac arrest. And Tom died a couple of weeks before his birthday, October of 2017, and the world hasn't been the same since. They released the box set of Tom's music. He got a lot of songs in there that haven't been heard of and have been previously unreleased, and a new song that he's got released. But the name of it's called American Treasure. I recommend going to get that. I haven't actually got it yet, but I plan to get that, and it should be a great Christmas present. But right now, unfortunately, it's hard for me to listen to Tom. You know, it's still fresh on my mind. It's still kind of hurtful. I was watching Tom in Boston in a concert last night, and it was just so good to see him. But knowing that he had passed away, it was just kind of rough, hard to hear. And then I heard a Christmas song on a movie. They're playing that Christmas all over again, you know, and it's kind of hard. But I'm sure in time, you know, we'll all enjoy that music. But I recommend everybody, though, going out and getting his influences albums and getting the greatest hits, but getting this box set, American Treasure, and go out and get some of his solo stuff and the Heartbreakers albums, you know, and just sit back and enjoy, because you won't ever hear another guy, another talented individual like Tom Petty. Things won't ever be the same without you, Tom. But go enjoy that music. Hey, this is Gary Stuckey, and God bless everybody. I'll be back later with another video. Hello everybody, it's Gary Stuckey. Are you ready for some rock and roll music, bands that you've known throughout your life? We'll be talking about it right here on this new show.